Good evening, everyone. Wekiva High School welcomes you to Mustang Arena for Varsity men's basketball competition. Please welcome our guests from West Orange High School. They are the Warriors. And they'll be taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Before we begin our game this evening, we ask that you please stand and remove your hats as we honor America with the singing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. And now, let's meet the teams, beginning with our guests from West Orange. And starting at forward with 6'3" junior, number 2, Daniel Burton. At point guard, 5'9" senior, number 4, Khalil Horn. At guard, 6' senior, number 10, James Narcisse. At small forward, 6'3" junior, number 12, Ethan Gonzalez. And finally for the Warriors, at shooting guard, 6' junior, number 13, Zion Isom. And the Warriors are coached by Mr. Eddie Johnson. And now let's meet the starting lineup for your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Starting at point guard, 5'7" freshman. At point guard, 6' sophomore, number 1, Darius Livingston. At guard, 6'3" senior, 6'3" senior, number 3, K.J. Robinson. At forward, 6'4" senior, number 4, Isaiah Bannister Doucette. At guard and forward, 6'4" junior, number 21, Varsity. Profit! And finally for the Mustangs at center and forward, 6'4" senior, number 0, Malachi Hampton. At the helm of the Mustangs, Mr. Justino Lubin. The officials for tonight's game are from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. We thank them for their dedicated service to our high school athletic programs and join them along with our participating schools, reminding everyone to make great sportsmanship a part of this and every athletic competition. And once again, we are live streaming on YouTube, NFHS Network, and Varsity Sports Network. And we want to extend a warm welcome to those of you who are joining us in just that manner. My name is Mark Barchi, voice of the Mustangs and sports information director here at Wekiva High School. And I am joined tonight by Neil Fisher of the Apopka Chief, who will be taking you through tonight's Friday Night Hoops.
And thank you, Mark. As always, a fine job of doing the introduction. And we get underway in this Metro Conference rivalry. About 12 miles separating the two schools. And right off the bat, that's Profit dropping in a deuce.
Losi Profit puts the Mustangs on the board.
Clearing the rebound is Hampton. Back the other way, Wekiva looking to get that two-possession lead early. Less than a minute into the ball game. Of course, a much different start this year for Wekiva. Stop, pop, and drop from Juju Robinson. A 4-0 lead for Wekiva. And back the other way, looking to get that lead up to 3 possessions. Wekiva starting off with 3 victories against no losses. That's Bannister Doucette. And he'll draw the foul. Nice pass underneath. 6:54 first quarter. So again, Wekiva starting off with victories over Ridge Community, Oatsmar, and Seminole. The Seminole in the Metro versus Florida Challenge. Inbound to Bannister Doucette. Now to Hampton. Out to Livingston. Rolls off the rim. And doing Windex work, that was Frederick Crumpton. The West Orange still looking for their first points of this game. A minute 20 in. We are live from Mustang Arena on the southeast side of Apopka, Florida. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night. Of course, we are now in the headline. Freshman JV, and this is the Varsity. Wekiva's defense has come playing its A game here so far in the early going. Holding West Orange off the board. Back up to the top to DeGems. And he'll think twice about it. It's DeGem Nassarsi. Rejected, but picked up by West Orange. Livingston getting the block. And possession will remain with West Orange.
Mustang foul is called against number 1, Darius Livingston, his first, and the team's first.
So Wekiva's 3 victories. The closest was actually 5 points against Oatsmar. They led from start to finish in that game. A couple of hoops at the end, cut that lead down to 5 as Livingston hits the deck. And give him a credit for the turnover. So a couple of turnovers on the first 4 possessions for West Orange. And unable to drop a couple of other shots. No offensive rebounds yet. 2 minutes into this ball game. West Orange, of course, under first-year coach Eddie Johnson. They are 1-0 winning their first game. And
3 for KJ Robinson.
So Robinson with 5 points of the 7 right off the bat. That's the first tray of the game. West Orange won its game in that Metro versus Florida Challenge against Discovery. A 6-point victory, 65-59. Underneath and going bank is Daniel Burton.
Now the basket for Daniel Burton to put the Warriors on the board.
7-2 now. Wekiva with the lead. They've led from the beginning. That ball does not drop. And clearing the rebounds. West Orange comes the other way. Horn leading the charge. He won't be able to get a shot off. Oh, the nice pass underneath to Profit.
Varsity Profit from the pass.
Robinson with the assist, and now he'll pick up that loose ball after the tip, weaves through, and makes the withdrawal from the bank.
KJ Robinson on the layup, 30-second timeout, Warriors.
So Wekiva continues where it left off with the 11-2 lead. Defense the key, 3 turnovers from Mustang Arena in Apopka.
Welcome back to Mustang Arena. Mark Barchi here with Neil Fisher to take you through this Orange County Metro rivalry. Of course, the Mustangs and the Warriors are not currently in the same classification, but historically they have been, and they've struck up a rivalry that goes back as far as Wekiva has existed.
Yeah, it's not just in terms of playoff way and competition, but geographically. And to be honest, I think I was actually a little off. I said they're about 12 miles. I think they're about 7 miles, actually, as we get a whistle.
Fouls called against KJ Robinson, his first, the team's second. So the Warriors get the ball at the opposing baseline, stuffed by Bannister Doucette. We go the other way.
And
nice pass inside, but it's broken up. Broken up again, and now the pass, there it is! Varsity Profit on the dunk from Doucette.
And that's been the story of the game so far with that 13-2 lead halfway through this first quarter. It's been Wekiva. They had 4 turnovers, and when they didn't get a turnover, they're getting that ball down quickly in transition off the miss. And at the other end, a much-needed bucket from
Jump
Moore.
shot from Ethan Gonzalez.
13-4.
3 for KJ Robinson. 10 points for him, just 4 minutes into the ball game. 16-4, the Mustangs lead. And Neil, you and I have been covering this team for a long time. We have seen the Paul Reed seasons. We have seen the seasons in between the Paul Reed seasons. And this is looking like a Paul Reed season.
Yeah, and let's even go further back to Willie Carmichael. Of course, he was the centerpiece of that 2013 team that advanced all the way to the Elite Eight. But yeah, Mark, I was going to certainly say much different feeling over than the last 4 seasons here for the men's basketball team. Of course, Paul Reed, as you mentioned, at that era came to an end in 2017. They advanced all the way to the state final as the defense spurs the turnover. And now the alley-oop to Profit. 18-4.
Varsity Profit on the pass from Livingston.
And of course,
that was a little razzle-dazzle, Neil. That was there to put an exclamation point on the basket. The alley-oop on what could have been just a humdrum layup, same number of points, but the Mustangs seem to have that spark of confidence tonight.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. It's not just in the record, again, 3-0, starting the season off with 3 consecutive victories, as Narcissi, unable to drop that tray, popped out.
And a foul on the rebound.
Basket. But it's just, they just look different as they play the game this season.
Frederick Crumpton is called in his first personal foul. It's the team's second.
So 2017, Wekiva made it to the state final. That was the Paul Reed, end of the Paul Reed era.
Yes, and Wekiva has not been back to Lakeland since, but if any season looked like it was a promising start to get there, it has been this one. You can see from watching this game the speed, the precision, and of course, nearly all of these players, certainly all of the starting lineup, returners. We've been talking to Coach Lubin about that for years. Many of these players started as varsity freshmen or were very quickly promoted to varsity after being freshmen. They've spent a lot of time with Coach Lubin over the course of multiple seasons, and now in this season 16, it all seems to be coming to fruition. Certainly, the re-addition of Malachi Hampton to the roster has been a boon for Wekiva. He spent most of or much of last year injured. You won't always see him at the top of the stats. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But he adds a lot of intangibles to the game and creates opportunities for his teammates.
Yeah, Hampton number 0 missed, as Mark said, most of a little bit more than half of last season.
3 for Ethan Gonzalez.
And the result was a 3-6 start. Of course, Wekiva still did make the playoffs, went 17-11, and actually won a couple games, getting to the Sweet 16. But this year, 3-0, and as you can see, they certainly look like a team that is picking up where they left off. And as Mark also mentioned, talked to Coach Lubin, he used the word familiarity, which comes with experience. No basket, but a foul.
Prior to the shot, Mustang foul is called against number 23, Tyler Danke, his first. The team's third. Vofsi Profit returns to the game for the Mustangs, as does KJ Robinson returns to the game for the Mustangs. And it'll be Warriors ball at the opposing baseline.
Yeah, and also to Mark's point, put it in tangible numbers as Narcissi tries the 15-foot J. No dice, picked up by Livingston. 4 starters returning, 7 in total. And certainly you can understand why Coach Lubin used the word familiarity growing out of experience. Down in the middle, that is a newcomer. Actually, that's Austin Rowe. He's a transfer, so he was not a returner, but you could actually say Wekiva's 8 returners, given that Raul does have a lot of varsity experience, a couple years before he came to Wekiva.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, as you mentioned, Neil, Wekiva really this year kind of picking up where they left off last season. Last year was a competent season, but not, I would describe, an elite season.
Yeah,
and when you are in the Orange County Metro Conference, being merely competent just doesn't get you that far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would go even further to also include Polk County, just up the road there. Of course, I mentioned Wekiva as the cheerleaders letting their support known. You can hear them to the right of us behind the basket that Wekiva is shooting at as we get a foul, a whistle. And I believe
it's going to be a team control against Wekiva.
Okay, it is a foul.
Austin Roll is called on the Mustangs foul. That's his first, the team's 4th. So that'll be a turnover.
Wekiva with a 17-11 final record. They did earn a berth into the playoffs, the Class 6A FHSAA state playoffs. They were the number 7 seed, upset Melbourne, the number 2 seed on the road, and then they had to go to Winter Haven, and this is the point I was making about Polk County, and quite frankly, that game was over about 2 minutes in. Wekiva fell behind by double digits, and they never really were able to get the lead under double digits. Count to Trey.
3 for Ethan Gonzalez, and we'll pause for a Mustang timeout.
So Wekiva was certainly growing. You could see them getting their legs, rounding into form. But this year they have started about 10 levels higher in terms of the quality of play. And tonight, 18-10 from Mustang Arena on the Wekiva Mustangs Athletic Network. Welcome back to Mustang Arena, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. Metro Conference rivalry, West Orange visiting the Wekiva Mustangs. 18-11 lead for Wekiva. West Orange possession, though. 28.9 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Wekiva possession. And when we went to the break, it was 18-10. There was discussion. And the previous basket, 2 baskets that were made ago, was actually a 3-pointer for West Orange. That's Charles ripping the ball down.
Foul is called against number 12, Ethan Gonzalez. That's his first, the team's third.
And as you heard Mark say, third team foul on West Orange, 14.4 seconds first quarter. And Charles will...
Stepped out. Warriors ball.
So the turnover, 5 turnovers in this first quarter for West Orange, facilitating that 7-point run. Of course, Mark, anybody who follows basketball, you know turnovers, that's really why teams are able to get leads. West Orange settling down now, can get the last points of the second quarter, head in with momentum. Bannister Doucette, though, sticking his hands in, and Wekiva does not score, but they prevent the score from West Orange, and they still have that 7-point lead as we begin the second quarter. This is the Wekiva Mustangs Athletic Network.
Takes... Welcome back to Mustang Arena. Mark Barchi here with Neil Fisher to take you through the second quarter here at Mustang Arena, where Wekiva opened up to a gangbuster start and has cooled a little bit in the late first quarter, but they still hold a 7-point advantage.
Yeah, lead as many as 14, 18-4 with about a minute and a half left. Give West Orange credit. They settled down and were able to get back into their game. Not quite as smooth as Wekiva, obviously, if you were with us in the first quarter, but enough to get back, cut that lead in half, down to 7, and certainly now within striking distance.
So yeah, I mean, Wekiva, when we saw them at the first quarter of this game, it almost reminded me of their first preseason contest.
Yeah, against Pine Ridge, which they won by, I believe it was close to 60 points. I have to look that up. But, yeah, that game they got off, if memory serves me correct. I also have to look this up, an 18-0 start. That'll cut it down to 5. The finger roll for
Khalil Horn opens up second quarter scoring for the Warriors. And now Vosi Prophet loses the ball out of bounds to a turnover on the other end. It'll be Warriors ball with 7:06 to go here in the second. And to your point, Neil, now a 9-0 run for West Orange to answer the 18-4 run that Wekiva started this game with.
The drive by Narcissi runs into a double team.
Yeah, lost his dribble there, barely got out of that one alive.
That's Burden. Now back to Narcissi, back to Horn, who swings it out. Skying for the rebound is Roll, the senior, and Wekiva go back into work, trying to break that 9-0 run, and does not roll, drops off. Doing Windex work is Burden, and now Horn brings the ball up on the right side, going against the 1-3-1 zone for Wekiva, and does not stop him. Stop, pop, and drop for Narcissi.
Ethan Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. So 18-15, what was a 14-point lead, now down to one possession at Mustang Arena. And great anticipation from Gonzalez, who of course just got the 8-foot jumper. 6-10, second quarter. Wekiva comes in 3-0. And as we mentioned, a much different start, not just in terms of the actual victory, but the team just feels different. They look like a different team when you watch them play. West Orange 1-0. They won their opener at the Metro versus Florida Challenge last week. Kicks it out to Charles. He pops, no drops. Scramble underneath. Picking up the loose ball, Livingston. The nice pass to Bannister Doucette, who drops in the deuce.
Isaiah Bannister for 2.
And that breaks the 9-0 run, gets Wekiva's 9-0 run by West Orange. gets the Wekiva lead back up to 5.5 minutes remaining second quarter in this Metro Conference matchup. And hitting the deck was Burden, a whistle.
Push is called against number 4, Isaiah Bannister, his first, the team's 5th.
And so West Orange will go back to work. What was a 14-point lead has been cut down to 5. West Orange can get it down to 1 possession again. And no dice, no shot by Crumpton. He hands it off to Horn. The baseline attack. And ball comes loose. That was Charles getting his hands in. Robinson picks it up. The bounce pass, a little too long. And
those are the risks that you take when you go for the transition offense. Wekiva trying to take advantage of that speed, and in the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game, they had it. But high risk, high reward when you make those kinds of plays, and it doesn't work out for them this time. Now, Wekiva puts on the full court pressure. Khalil Horn gets trapped, and Coach Johnson has to take a timeout. Full timeout called by the Warriors. Back with more from Mustang Arena right after a quick break.
And back to live action. Wekiva holding a 20-15 lead from Mustang Arena. Wekiva, the home team, taking on West Orange, their Metro Conference rival just up the road. Wekiva's led from the opening possession, but a 14-point lead has been cut down to 5. And there you see the full court press being put on by Wekiva. And paying dividends with that turnover. Charles will inbound the ball. 5:01 second quarter. This is Robinson. After looking down at the ground for a couple seconds, now sets the play. Over to Johnson. The JV call-up. Back to Robinson. As we drop under 5 minutes, Wekiva looking to keep its undefeated record. 3-0 coming into this game. West Orange undefeated as well, albeit only one game. And that's Johnson launching, nothing but air. And nice rebound by Charles. Good hustle back out to Robinson, who drains the range.
K.J. Robinson.
That was an NBA three-pointer, Mark.
It was, and I'll tell you what, when I don't know if there's a reason I can articulate for this correlation, and I know correlation does not imply causation, but when K.J. Robinson is draining threes, everything else seems to go well for Wekiva as well.
And there's an example, making the withdrawal from the bench.
Isaiah Bannister on the Mustang layup.
So what was cut down to a 5-point lead has now been doubled back up to 10. No basket. Trying to go amongst the trees in a nasty defense.
Abia Charles takes a charge for the Mustangs. Foul's called against James Narcisse. His first, the team's 4th. So that'll be a turnover for West Orange.
Under 4 minutes before halftime now. Robinson brings the ball up.
And those charges are such momentum stealers as we get
Splash!
K.J. Robinson from downtown.
So
that's another NBA three-pointer right there. Stolen by Johnson. He goes the distance, and there it is. Juju Johnson to Malachi Hampton for his first points of the game. Timeout, Warriors.
Wekiva on a 12-2 run after the lead had been cut to 5. And as Mark mentioned, Robinson right in the thick of it, dropping a couple of trays. 30-15, 3.5 before halftime. Wekiva Mustangs Athletic Network. And back to live action from Mustang Arena. And speaking of the Mustangs, they are on a 10-2 run. What was a 5-point lead is now back up to 15. They've doubled the West Orange Warriors, who now have possession. And I was looking over at the West Orange bench to my right during that break, and Coach Johnson, that's Eddie Johnson, as his player, that's Horn, trying to make his way through that lane, and he'll draw a foul.
Khalil Horn is fouled on the attempt to go to the line and shoot two. Juju Johnson causes his first personal foul, the team's sixth.
So Coach Johnson was letting his team West Orange have it, slammed the clipboard down. Well, and if the name Eddie Johnson sounds familiar, it should. He actually was the coach at Lake Nona before he came to West Orange. This, of course, is his first year there, and he comes with known as at least being able to get a team up to the level of playoff contendership. We talked about this as the score is now 30-17. One of both free throws dropped. And 5 years ago, Wekiva, with Paul Reed as a centerpiece, the center, of course, is now in the Philadelphia 76ers system, was a centerpiece. They made it all the way to the state championship final, falling to Osceola as Robinson picks up that loose ball. The next season, they actually did get back to the playoffs, even though they were 13-14, and their first round game was against Lake Nona, and Coach Johnson was the coach of Lake Nona at that time.
So yeah, certainly a lot of history between many of the schools here in Orange County. We've had a lot of coach rotations, and there KJ Robinson releases, caught the heel, and the iron not kind to him that time. It touches the backboard equipment, and that is the same as out of bounds. So a team defensive rebound to the Warriors with 2 minutes, 40 seconds remaining here in the second quarter at Mustang Arena.
And Wekiva went back to the full court man-to-man. In this quarter, they were in the 1-3-1 zone for a couple of minutes. Primarily, though, that man-to-man full court defense is their forte on defense. And at the other end, that was Burden, just enough of getting in the way. And whistle.
Foul's called against number 11, Frederick Crumpton, his second, the team's fifth.
So Robinson will come up, walks it up. I believe that's the first time he's walked it up from the back court tonight, as Wekiva has built this 13-point lead, partially in transition. Beautiful passing and slamming home the deuce. Bannister.
Isaiah Bannister.
So there you see Hampton. Of course, if you follow Wekiva the last couple of years, you're used to seeing Hampton doing those kind of plays. Mark mentioned it at the beginning of this broadcast. As Wekiva an opportunity to get that lead up to 19. And they'll maintain possession. 1:53, second quarter. Wekiva on a 14-2 run now. About 2 minutes ago on the clock, Coach Robinson took a timeout. It was a 12-2 run at that time, and Wekiva none the worse for wear, making no never mind to that timeout. As Vasi Profit comes in for Charles.
Yeah, actually 3 subs for Wekiva, and there we go.
Doucette.
Isaiah Bannister-Doucette on the inbound for 2.
So a 16-2 run now for Wekiva. 1:40 second quarter.
And this is the sign of a mature team. Wekiva blew the doors off of the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game, then cooled off, got in their heads a little bit, but recovered. And that is something that the Wekiva Mustangs of 2-3 years ago could not do, as we get a 3-point basket from Ethan Gonzalez.
And that'll cut the lead to 16. A whistle as Wekiva crosses midcourt.
And we'll get a caution from the official. I think that was to Bannister and Burton, who got into a little bit of tuffle in the paint. Not enough to cause a technical foul, but enough to get a caution from the referee. And as I started to say a minute ago, Neil, that psychological recovery, that emotional recovery, you had a bad couple of possessions, you had a bad few minutes, does not drain all the life force out of this team like it used to. As Malachi Hampton from the key for 2.
Yeah, Mark, and I'd also say the reason that they're still doing it, at least in terms of specifics, as that's Roll clearing the rebound. You see those little passes, interior passing.
Gems Narcisse called with a second personal foul, the team's 6th. So we'll have both teams in bonus for the last 45 seconds, if it should make any difference.
One extra pass, and there was an example on that last possession. Hampton left wide open 4 feet in front of the basket. All he had to do was put the ball up. There's a turnover. Long outlet pass to Bagwandas. He won't be able to do anything. Defense getting back, and at the other end, not only does Wekiva get back at defense, they motor up and get in position on the offense, and Profit draws the foul.
Foul called against number 12, Ethan Gonzalez, his second, the team's 7th. That'll send Vosi Profit to the line, shooting 2 for the Mustangs.
So Wekiva also came into this game, talked about both teams being undefeated, a 1-0 record for West Orange. Wekiva 3-0. Wekiva, though, with the advantage in scoring, averaging 74.3 in total to 65 for West Orange. And both free throws good from Profit, the junior, and an 18-point lead again for Wekiva. 20.6 seconds remaining before halftime. Of course, we are at Mustang Arena, home of Wekiva, on the southeast side of Apopka, next to the 429. And the tip and the save by Livingston. Profit hustling down, and he'll be rewarded with a trip to the free throw line.
And that's a play that West Orange probably wrote off, and Wekiva did not, as we get a Warriors foul called against Khalil Horn, his second, the team's 8th. Vosi Profit back at the line for 2 more. So the Mustangs get an extra possession there, and they will take advantage of it. 10 points for the junior, and he makes it 11.
So this is actually the first home game for Wekiva as well, Mark. I forgot to mention that.
At least among the regular season, you're
regular
correct.
Season. Wekiva playing in 2 events, the Metro versus Florida Challenge and the Get Down Shootout.
Nice trap going, but it is for naught as we get a basket by number 12, Ethan Gonzalez. And that will be the last word of the second half. It is a 40-22 ball game as we head into the break. 18-point advantage for the Mustangs at halftime here on Friday Night Basketball from Mustang Arena.
And so Wekiva taking that lead on the strength of a 16-2 run. It's been everybody taking their turns, scoring in on defense. We'll be back with the second half. This is the Wekiva Mustangs Athletic Network. half the game between these two Metro Conference rivalries been played. Wekiva, the home team, this is Mustang Arena, with a commanding 40-22 lead as we get ready to start that second half. West Orange just up the road about 7-8 miles, providing the opposition. And a 16-2 run has propelled Wekiva into that 18-point lead. They were up 18-13 heading into the second quarter. And then, Mark, it was all domination for Wekiva. Of course, Wekiva began this game with a 13-2 run. West Orange cut that lead down to 5. And then Wekiva refound its game, so to speak. And we begin the second quarter. Wekiva coming in 3-0, best start in the last 5 years. West Orange 1-0, still looking to transition to the Eddie Johnson era. The first-year coach, Wekiva goes back to those passes, rattles in and out, but Bannister Doucette grabbing the rebound. That's Profit who gets the pass, and he drives in. Is it a foul? Yes, he draws the foul, gets whacked on the drive.
Foul is called against Warriors number 2, Daniel Burton, his first, the team's first. That'll send Varsity Profit to the line, shooting 2.
So about 200 fans in attendance tonight at Mustang Arena. And Mark, we talked throughout that first half, just obviously the record. Best start Wekiva's had, and certainly the numbers looking much better than they did a season ago. Certainly looking much better than they did 4 seasons ago when Wekiva suffered and struggled through a 3-win season. But Wekiva just looks much different out on the court as that ball will not drop. And Hampton unable to get the rebound in bounds. They just look much different out on the court. The body language, the transition, just they move quicker. And certainly I would say, too, tonight, not now, but in that first half, you can see the change with the fans as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much
Wekiva,
more spirited group this season.
Yes, Wekiva is on board. They have all signed up, including the fans, and they seem to believe. And that's the thing. I mean, the players obviously believe, the fans believe, and we'll see how far it gets this season. Obviously, you don't want to make too many early predictions off of just a couple of games that we've seen. But, Neil, you and I think, have seen 4 games at home or at Apopka now as we get a foul called against Isaiah Bannister. That's his second, the team's first of the half, and it will send Frederick Crumpton to the line.
Yeah, Wekiva 2 preseason games and 3 regular season games. Also want to point out, this is actually Wekiva's first regular season home game, the home opener. So as they play 2 games in neutral sites, part of events, the Metro versus Florida Challenge, and then the Get Down Orlando shootout last weekend. The other game was against Ridge Community on Wednesday night. That was on the road. Wekiva not only 3-0, but their closest victory was 5 points, which is actually relatively close. But there's always the but, Mark.
Yeah.
They actually, it was a 9-point lead, and Wekiva gave up a couple of baskets on the last couple of possessions to cut it down to 5 points. That's Bannister Doucette. Can't get the deuce to drop in, and West Orange looking to cut into that 18-point lead.
Nice work there by Livingston getting in the way. Not able to get it to bounce off the Warriors, though. It will stay with them with 6:43 to go here in the third. 41-23 the score. The Mustangs, as we mentioned earlier, have dominated all but about 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah, well, okay.
2.5. And at the end of the first quarter. Trey does not drop and ripping the rebound down. Nice job by Hampton. This is Robinson. The transfer from Apopka sweeps through the lane, can't get the deuce to drop. Bannister Doucette unable to corral at the other end. Narcisse, and he's rejected by Hampton. No lack of effort from the big guy. Unfortunately, Wekiva unable to get the rebound, and they foul.
Isaiah Bannister Doucette fouls. It's his third, the team's second, and it will send Daniel Burton to the line.
So Burton at the line with 2 points. Lead scores, Profit with 13 for Wekiva. And actually Gonzalez leads all scorers with 16. That's West Orange. But obviously with 23 points, he's not getting any help. So Gonzalez scoring 16 of the 23 points. That means only 7 among the rest of the team. And I think that says a lot about Wekiva's defense as Hampton crashes the board. Robinson brings it up. Talked in that first half about Wekiva. This is a team that has so much experience, and experience breeds familiarity as Prophet makes that extra pass down low to Hampton.
Malachi Hampton from Prophet for 2.
And, of course, they picked up a couple of transfers, and Robinson and Austin Rawl, and they've just fit in so well, providing that little extra something that Wekiva was missing last year, just in terms of keeping those gears moving well as the trade has not dropped. Ricochets off. Prophet tracks it down. Robinson over to Hampton. Hampton trying to save it in. Couldn't quite keep that pass in bound. That was Livingston who got a hand on it, but even if he caught it, he would have been out of bounds. So 43-23, actually the largest lead of the game for Wekiva now at 20 points. They've led from the beginning. They got off to a 13-2 lead. And sweeping in, scooping, and making the bank shot is Narcisse.
Basket by Gems Narcisse.
Narcisse. So lead down to 18, 5 minutes remaining, third quarter. Now Wekiva slows down that pace. This is Robinson, and he's just going to launch. Clanks off the front. Can't find the stroke. And West Orange with an opportunity to score a couple of consecutive baskets as we drop under 5 minutes. And no try for the tray. That will not drop. And ripping the rebound down is Hampton. He'll bring it up himself. Over to Prophet, extended left. Prophet trying to drive that lane, and now goes back to Hampton. The two-man game. And actually Hampton traveled before he got the shot attempt.
Traveling called against the Mustangs. Warriors ball. Juju Johnson comes in for KJ Robinson. 4.5 to go here in the third. Wekiva maybe not as hot as they were at the beginning of the game, but still seem to have the overall momentum under control as we approach the midpoint of the third quarter.
Yeah, Wekiva still keeping control of this game as that ball does not go down. Snagging the rebounds, Prophet. And certainly they're controlling that game in terms of the direction and the feel and dictating the terms by which it's being played. Neither team really moving the ball up and down the court nearly as quickly as they were in that first half. It's certainly Wekiva, but again, an 18-point lead, and it's going to stay at 18 for the time being as Hampton fingertips that roll and goes back in for the putback.
Malachi Hampton with the second dance basket.
So Wekiva in that first half showing you can move transition, and now they're showing a more physical game as Johnson over to Livingston, who goes splash.
Darius Livingston for 3.
And just that quickly, as I said, transition, not relying on it as much. They pull one out. They find that transition and drain the rain. So now in the 1-3-1 zone, actually that's man-to-man, and Prophet picks up the loose ball.
Tried to get a little too fancy there.
He'll get his own rebound. And now, again, Wekiva also understanding the situation. They have the 23-point lead, largest of the game. No need to go to transition, no need to force the pace.
Brendan Yakora is called on his first personal foul, the team's second. Mustangs ball at the sideline.
So Wekiva back to work. 3 minutes remaining, 23-point lead, largest of the game for Wekiva. They've led from the beginning. Hampton takes the bounce pass. Can't get the ball to drop in. A third attempt. And finally, West Orange corrals the rebound. It's Burden, and he also draws the foul.
Juju Johnson is calling his second personal foul. It's the team's third. Frederick Crumpton back in for the Warriors.
And the Wekiva cheerleaders to my right. We are West Orange going left to right. Certainly urging the Mustangs on. And
Malachi
slapped
Hampton
away
stops it.
by Hampton. And talked about it in the first half and during the second half. Effort much more different than you would have seen 3 or 4 years ago during the dark seasons of
Vosi
Wekiva.
Prophet had the tip to set that up. He, if he were a couple inches taller, he would have had the steal before it ever got that far.
Unable to drop the tray. That was Gonzalez, and he had, who's that?
Foul is called against Warriors number 11, Frederick Crumpton, his third. The team's third. Abia Charles back into the game for Wekiva.
Yeah, so Gonzalez unable to drop that shot because Kerry Davis was in his face. And that's something else, again, just those little subtle behind-the-scenes actions that Wekiva is now performing. Again, that's where the experience comes in, the familiarity, those thousands of hours you spend in practice. Now they're doing those things. Again, Kerry Davis getting in the face of Gonzalez. You're not thinking about him anymore. Under 2 minutes. And neither team has scored a lot of points in the second quarter. As a matter of fact, it's 7-5 scoring in this third quarter. But, of course, that'll suit Wekiva fine with a 20-plus point lead. Davis unable to drop, Davis can't get the deuce, and back the other way. West Orange trying to get that lead under 20, still will not be able to. Probably an ill-advised shot down at the other end. Wekiva in transition, and the turnover with 1:19 third quarter. Neil Fisher alongside Mark Barchi. And handling our video aspects are the broadcast production department under the direction of Keith Dickinson here at Wekiva. And going bank, stroking in the deuce, is Davis. So lead up to 25 now, largest of the game as we drop to 1 minute, or approach 1 minute in the third quarter. West Orange is completely dominated in this game by some nasty, nasty defense by Wekiva, and that continues as Johnson gets the steal, comes back the other way, coast to coast, floats in the deuce, 27-point lead now.
Juju Johnson.
As we approach the third quarter, can Wekiva reach 30? No, but they won't get 29 on that, but grabbing the rebound, doing Windex work.
Vosi Prophet with a second chance basket, and we'll pause for a timeout.
So Eddie Johnson has seen enough, the first-year coach at West Orange. A 29-point lead, 38.3 seconds remaining from Mustang Arena. This is the Wekiva Mustangs Athletic Network. 38.3 seconds remaining, third quarter, Mustang Arena the site, and Wekiva enjoying a commanding 54-25 lead. They've led from the beginning, starting the game off with a 13-2 run. And with that lead, Coach Lubin leaving only one starter in, that's Vasi Prophet. Also on the court, Livingston, Davis, Johnson, and Charles. And so they've been entrusted to keep that lead at 25 plus as we come to the end of the third quarter. West Orange with possession. That's Horn, extended left. West Orange unable to get anything interior. They continue on the passing perimeter. And Bogwandas can't get the first attempt, but the second attempt goes in. cuts the lead to 27, 6 seconds. Last opportunity for Wekiva. Profit pulls up, can't get the deuce. And Windex work.
At the buzzer, Juju Johnson gets the last word of the third quarter, makes it a 56-27 ball game with 8 minutes left to play here in Friday night hoops action from Mustang Arena.
And can't ask for a better ending to a third quarter. Wekiva will go into the fourth quarter on the bank. Windex work in the deuce.
Welcome back to Mustang Arena. 56-27, the Mustangs with the advantage coming back to the fourth quarter of action. And Neil, it's actually not entirely out of the question that this game could get to 35 before it's over.
Yeah, certainly with the 29-point lead, Wekiva's led from the start, taking a 13-2 lead. And as you've mentioned a couple times, Mark, when KJ Robinson, the newest addition, but starting right away, of course, he came from Apopka with a couple years experience starting at the varsity level. Good things happen for Wekiva, good things follow, and Robinson dropping in 18 of those 13 points at the beginning of the game. Now 56-27, and Coach Lubin going mostly with the non-starters. Matter of fact, entirely with non-starters, as we got Johnson.
And now
Davis.
Coach Lubin wants a timeout.
Okay, so we'll set the lineup when we come back. In the meantime, just 23 seconds and 29-point lead remains for Wekiva. They have controlled this game from the beginning. We'll be back on the Wekiva Mustangs Athletic Network.
Back to live action here at Mustang Arena. Coach Lubin has all bench players in at the moment and wanted
Johnson Livingston, who just takes the shot and drains the rain.
Darius Livingston from Juju Johnson for three. And so
Felix, Charles, and Livingston in as well. As a whistle, 7:18 remaining.
Hold is called against Mustangs number 24, Jalen Felix, his first, the team's fourth.
And so West Orange will try to cut into that 29-point lead. And as we've seen so many times tonight, a short shot. Rebound goes out to Davis, and try to get too fancy there, trying to probably make an ill-advised pass too long. And They'll actually catch a break here. West Orange touching it last. So Wekiva looking to go 4-0. Best start it's had in 5 seasons. West Orange came in at 1-0. Obviously, barring what would be a sensational comeback, they're going to be 1-1 as we have 7 minutes remaining. 56, 59, 27. This is the Wekiva Mustangs Athletic Network.
Welcome back to Mustang Arena. Those of you joining us live on YouTube, the NFHS Network, or Varsity Sports Network, we're glad to have you here with us in South Popka on this Friday night in early December. Beautiful night outside, but we are glad that you have joined us inside with 6 minutes, 52 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Mustangs looking to extend their lead, and Felix can't get it to drop in. Putback not going to go either for Danke. And another offensive board pulled in for Johnson. So Wekiva get 3 consecutive chances here and drops the 3. That is Avia Charles for 3. His first points of the game.
Yeah, 4 opportunities for Wekiva. Offense turnovers got Wekiva off to a 13-2 lead. And now it's been offensive rebounding in the second half. And now an opportunity to get that lead up to 35. And they're going to try. It's Johnson. No dice. Skying for the rebound is Profit, but he can't hold on. And West Orange will come up trying to cut into that lead. It's also worth noting, Mark, that since about 4 minutes into the second half, as the tray does not drop, Crumpton attempting it, but he does get the rebound. West Orange will try another try, this time from the right. And the connection from Bagwanda.
3 for Ajay Bagwandas.
Coach Lubin has gone with almost entirely non-starters since about 4 minutes into the second half. At no time since the 4-minute mark has he had more than one starter in. And now entirely a lineup made up entirely of the non-starters. 5:19 remaining, 62-30 lead for Wekiva.
Foul called against Mustangs number 33. Juju Johnson is third, the team's 5th. This is Ajay Bagwandas shooting 2, missing the first.
Bagwandas with 3 points. As the clock continues to tick.
Yeah, keep in mind that while West Orange has scored the last couple of baskets to bring the differential back under 35, it did hit 35 briefly, and so the clock will run for the rest of the game no matter what happens with the scoring differential.
Yeah, it'll only stop during a timeout. And there's some contact in the whistle.
Held ball.
Okay, jump ball. So West Orange, nice play. So Wekiva actually was on pace as we had a timeout to, at halftime with the 40 points, that would have topped their average. They're averaging 74.3. Obviously, with the clock running, they're not going to be able to do that tonight. But certainly bring that up because that is an impressive performance to be on track to score 80 points in a game, especially given that there's only 32 minutes. So Wekiva continues to lead. It's a 31-point lead now. This is the Wekiva Mustangs Athletic Network. Mustang Arena, the site, and this game began with a 13-2 run by the home team, the Wekiva Mustangs, and they have led ever since then. Now a 62-31 lead. They have possession of the ball. The inbound pass to Jalen Felix, who's seeing some time now. The JV call up. He'll go to the line.
That's his fourth personal foul. The team's fourth. Jalen Felix shooting two.
So Felix at the line finds the stroke on the first free throw. And won't get the second. Nice effort by Wekiva, but Horn in the right place at the right time. He'll go baseline and unable to drop the deuce. And Wekiva will take over possession with 3 minutes remaining now. So this game began with that 13-2 run. Robinson right in the thick of it, dropping in 8 of those 13 points.
Yep, and he is up to 16 total now to lead the team. Hampton not far behind him with 8. Bannister also has 8. And also right up there at the top of the marks is Vosi Prophet, who has 21.
Yeah, and all those players, no doubt in my mind that they could have reached 25. Again, Coach Lubin taking his starters out with about 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Yeah, and that's smart. That makes total sense to me that, when you've got the game clearly in hand, this is your opportunity to focus not on this game but on the next game. Focus on getting your players who don't get as many minutes, getting them some experience, getting them to a point where they can really contribute. And remember that when coaches make substitutions, it's not just to give their players some relief.
Yeah,
and to give them some time to sit down and take a break. It's also essentially a free timeout because it gives Coach Lubin an opportunity to coach without taking timeouts. As we get a foul called against number 4, Khalil Horn. That's his third personal foul, the team's 5th.
Yeah, coaches don't just coach for the specific game. Coaches don't just coach.
A long 2-point jumper for number 11.
With an eye towards the actual game that's being played. They're coaching at several games at a time. They're looking 5, 6, 7 games down the road. 1:15 remaining now. As Rowe brings the ball up, tries that over-the-shoulder sweep with his hands. West Orange having none of it. They slap the ball out of bounds. And it'll also be a whistle, a foul. Nope, no foul, just out of bounds. As we're now under 1 minute remaining. 50 seconds remaining now. And again, Wekiva will go to 4-0. Its best start in 5 years. That was the state championship final team. And not only are they 4-0, but they just look so much better. And you can just see every season they've improved. Taking another rung up the step, taking another rung up the ladder in terms of the quality of play. They look better, they look quicker, they look more decisive, and quite frankly, Mark, they're also a team that's a lot bigger physically as well. That 13-2 run put them in the lead. Eight of those 13 points scored by K.J. Robinson, who finishes with 16. Hampton and Bannister supplements with 8 each, but leading tonight in terms of scoring 21 points per profit. And there's your final buzzard as Wekiva once again goes to 4-0. Your final score 65-31 on this Friday night. Mark, close us out.
That takes us to the end of the ball game. We'd like to thank those of you here in the arena who came out to Mustang Arena to support your Warrior and Mustang athletes tonight. Thanks also to those of you who joined us online on YouTube, NFHS Network, or Varsity Sports Network. 65-31 is the final score here as the Mustangs pick up a Metro victory. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Wekiva Sports, and bookmark WekivaMustangs.com for all of your scores, schedules, and more. For those of you here in the arena, please drive carefully and arrive home safely. Those of you watching online, thanks for tuning in tonight. And again, our sincere appreciation to Keith Dickerson and his entire team at Wekiva TV Broadcast Production for their partnership, bringing you video aspects of tonight's game. For Neil Fisher, this is Mark Bargy, the voice of the Mustangs and Sports Information Director here at Wekiva, as well as Executive Producer of Wekiva Sports on YouTube, VSN, and NFHS Network. This has been a presentation of Orange County Public Schools in association with Orange Technical College, both a proud part of OCPS. We'll see you next time. Until then, good night from Mustang Arena.